I'm going to change the gear shifters around on my BA XR6 today, and I figured I'd film a video showing the process of how it's done. It's been discussed a lot on the forums and the internet whether or not you have to remove the whole centre console unit from the car or just a cover that goes around the shifter surround to get access at it. The fact of the matter is that unfortunately with these cars you have to pull the whole centre console out just to get this stupid shifter surround out. The reason being is that the shifter surround is bolted underneath the centre console and it sits on top of it. A lot of people have said that you can pull just this trim off and then you can pull it out. It's impossible to do that, and I will show you why. If you remove your cup holder, which if your car's like mine is probably broken, you just pull that one up and out and then grab this surround here, which we'll just pull out. It's held with some clips. You will see some bolts and you will think, oh great, I can pull it out. You can't. It's underneath of it. Now, there is available on eBay some chrome covers that you can stick over the surround. If you wanted to fit one of these, that's all you would have to do, and you would just be able to stick it on, put it back over and it's fine. However, if you want to change the light underneath here, or the shifter surround, or get to anything under here, the whole lot's got to come out. It's not that hard of a process, but it seems a little tricky. So I'll go through in this video showing how it's done, and hopefully it'll help some people out there and clear up some of the incorrect facts on the internet on how to do this job. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the seats from the car. Now it's only necessary to remove the driver's side seat to do this, but I find it makes it a bit easier and gives you some more room if you remove both of them. The reason you have to remove the driver's side seat is the handbrake has 3 bolts down on the side of the centre console that hold its adjustment in position, and you need to remove them in order to remove the centre console. Given the fact the seat's in the way, that kind of explains why it has to come out. There's also down on the side of the centre console, right near the seat belt down there, 2 bolts that need to come out each side. Now you can get it done without removing the seats. But myself, as I said before, I prefer to remove both because when you start to pull this centre console out, you end up with stuff everywhere, so the more floor space you have free in here, the better I think. The thing you've got to do to get the seats out is take all the covers off all the rails for the seats that gain access to the bolts. They're a bit annoying to get off, because they're quite tight, but I found the best trick to do is you feel around underneath the plastic until you feel the edges of these clips, and you bend them out and then they should just pull off. Now, it's a bit of a process to do one-handed, so I can't really do all of these while holding the camera. I'll try and get this one off one-handed to sort of give you an idea of how to do them. So on this side, I know it should be somewhere around under here. And we'll find the edge of the clip, and just like that, off it comes. So once you've got all of those done, then you can get the bolts out here, which I do believe are a T50 Torx head bit, but I will check that out later. We've got all the covers off the seats. You'll need a T50 Torx head piece to undo the bolts. I picked these up from a local hardware store for around $13. I found them quite useful because Falcons use quite a number of Torx piece bolts across their cars. First off, you should remove the rear bolts in the seat, followed by the front, because the seats have a tendency to tip backwards when you undo the bolts. Be careful when they tip backwards because there are some wires that plug underneath the seat for both your lumbar controls and your seatbelt switch. Once you've got the bolts out, you'll need to pull these 3 plugs out on the driver's side and 2 on the passenger side. The yellow and the white one are pretty self-explanatory. Just a clip you need to pull down there and they'll pull out. The grey one on the other hand, the clip is actually up on the underside of the clip. Right up in there. Now you've got your seats out, you can begin pulling the centre console out. As I said before, it's not absolutely necessary to remove the passenger seat, but I find it makes the job easier for myself when I do it. So the first step that you should do is start with the handbrake cover. You should just slide off this one, just pull off like that. And this will expose down here the 3 bolts that I talked about before that make it necessary to remove the driver's seat. Before you remove these, take note of the position where the handbrake sits on these slides. This is how the tension is set up in your handbrake in these cars. If you put this back in the wrong spot, you'll either over adjust your handbrake or find your handbrake doesn't work properly. Normally next up you'd want to remove your cup holder and the surround around here, but I already did that earlier in the video. So the next step is to remove these side trims along here. These are held in just with these two bolts here. Bolts out, these just pull off so you can chuck them aside. A good tip would be just to grab the bolts that you've pulled out, put them back in there so you know where they are later. Got the trims off, you need to remove the tissue holder. This is just held in with one screw on each side, which is this top one here. If you have a car that has auxiliary audio fitted such as mine, you will have the socket underneath here. Make sure to unscrew this as you pull it out, because this whole piece needs to come out and it will get in your way. Tissue holder out, you've also got to get rid of the wire that plugs on to the back of the cigarette lighter. Next up, you've got to pull the bolt on each side of the centre console out down here and remove your rear air conditioning vent. This one just simply pulls out as well. And there we go. Next up, you want to pull the bolts out from the handbrake. There's 4 of these, and unscrew this one right here. You'll also want to remove your gear lever. This is held on with just one bolt on the back side down here. Once you undo that, it should just pull straight off. There's that one removed. You've removed all these bolts. All you have left to do is remove 2 grey clips that live underneath the felt in the centre console. These are down these 2 holes. For these you stick a small flathead screwdriver down and wedge them and they will click out. On my particular car, these have been broken by someone else who has previously gone here, so I can't show you how it is done. I also forgot to mention earlier that you need to remove on each side these 2 bolts here. After all that's done, you should be able to lift the centre console up from the back and sort of shimmy it out past the shifter surround here, and lift it up and put it over to your side, and now you have access to the shifter surround. Now we've got the centre console out, you can finally take a look at removing this shifter surround. All you have left on here is just this one screw here, and then after that the shifter surround will still be reluctant to come out because these small threaded pieces of plastic are wedged in here. You have to give a good reef on those and they will pull up and out, and it will seem maybe that it might break, but don't worry because they do let go eventually. Once you've got the shifter surround unhooked, you will notice that underneath here is the light. You just need to twist this one and it will come out. And there's that one out. Now it should just lift that up and away, and now you can get on to fitting your new one. If you've gone this far to pull the shifter surround out, you may as well replace the light bulb underneath here while you're at it. In my case it was already blown. I happen to have lying around in the packet the right one for it, which is this type right here. I've got here my replacement shifter surround. Come off eBay for $100. It's certainly quite dear, but I figure rather than hunting around for one in a wreck that no doubt will bubble sometime sooner or later, I'd just get a new one. Now it's important when fitting these to make sure that this small little clip here, which is for the indicator window over here, lines up on this small spike right here. So that way it will show what gear it's in when you move the lever. From here it's pretty much just the reverse of pulling it apart to put it all back together. Do make sure if you've changed the light bulb in here just to switch your lights on and check that it works. Another thing to point out is if your car does have the clips that I mentioned earlier are broken in mine, and they've, say for instance, stayed in here when you've pulled off the centre console, what you want to do is flip the centre console upside down, and you will see right here the spots where they fit. In my case there's still a half broken one right down there. Push them back into there, and then that way when you sit the centre console down, it will clip into these slots by itself. The first time I did one of these, I decided to leave the clips in here instead, and when I pushed it down, what it did is it pushed the clip through the hole and it was lost forever. I found doing it this way means that they don't fall out, and then that way you're onto a winner. So the car's back together. You can see the new shifter surrounds put in. Looks much better than the last one. If you followed the video correctly and you have any troubles putting the setup back together, just pause at any spot where you've taken it apart and do the exact opposite and you will be good. One thing I thought I'd mention before I wrap the video up is it does say in the Ford manual that the seat bolt should be torqued to 35 to 40 Newton meters. Whether this is that important or not, I don't know, but I figured since I have a torque wrench lying around, may as well do it. Maybe the bolts shear off in an accident or something if they're done up too tight. I'm not sure, but if you have one, may as well do it as well. So that's how you change the shifter surround in these. I hope it helps somebody out there. Feel free to like and comment on the video. Stay tuned and I might post some more if I have any more issues in the future. Thank you.